You got some peat moss and some fertilizer. Putting in the SQWIB jack. That's just heavier than it looks. Alright, we're all squared away. I still got quite a few more things I have to get. Not on this trip though. Okay, I got my sphagnum peat moss already. My black kale. I gotta get a ton of other things. Let's see what we got up here. Ooh, please don't be heavy. Yeah, I'm gonna hand truck these. They're not real heavy, but I'm old. Yay. I think I'm going to put them back here. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Okay, I'm gonna film this because this is gonna be funny. I gotta get this up on there. And I had trouble getting them up on there. Okay, here we go. 90-pound weakling on the beach. Oh my God. Oh Lord. Okay, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. Alright, these are 8-foot, 2x8 by 32 inches high. Okay, I'm probably going to take the film off first. Some folks, what they'll do is peel it back so it don't get scratched up. I'm going to peel them off this time, see how it works out. And then I got to sort through all the screws. There's your trim. There is all the hardware, and there's a tool in there. Okay, there's your tool. I like using, I think it's a 10mm socket on my drill. These are your cap screws. They go on the top 2 holes. Caps will go in there. These are your regular hex nuts. Go there. And here's your actual screw or bolt, Phillips head, all stainless hardware. And I am going to turn you guys off while I knock out this tedious job here. And then I'll bring it back. Get yourself comfortable and do this. Bam. Okay, I got the one panel laid out. I'm going to drop some screws in just to secure it. Just a couple. Couple at the top and bottom. Then we'll do the sides. The nuts go on the inside. The top two get the cap nuts. And the actual bolt goes on the outside and the cap nut goes on the inside. And you just could do the top two. Remember, just the top two. All right, let me knock these out and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, we got that done. I'm gonna put one of the sides on. The sides have to go on the outside. Okay, all the end pieces are done. I'm gonna put 2 cap screws at the top all the way around. And then I'll pop a couple in the bottom. And then after it's completely assembled, I'll start putting the rest of the screws in. And I'm just gonna snug everything up, put it in place, and then probably tighten it up. We'll see what happens. Make sure to put this up here so we don't scratch it. Alright, let's do the other side. Some on the outside. Let's do the other side, which will be the front. Okay, what I've done with the front and back panels is I just shingled them. Lay one down, top, top, top. There's really nothing in the instructions that tells you a right way or wrong way to do that. The only thing is they stress is that the end pieces go on the outside here of this piece. And we're gonna do the same here. On the inside. Okay, I have 2 sets of rods. This is rod A for the 2 foot use. That's what I'm using, and these are for the 3.5 foot use. These have 2 rods in the they have little connectors. I'm going to need 4. So these are going to go to the 3rd and the 5th hole from the top, and they tell you to go on either side of center. That would be here from here. Remember, 3rd and 5th holes from the top. Rod A for 2 foot use. 3rd hole from the top. Third hole from the top. Do my 5th hole from the top. Now we're going to repeat on the other side of the center. Just at either side of the center. comes the fun part. Instead of this, I'll use a 10mm socket, 1/4 inch socket with a 1/4 inch drive that attaches to the drill. I think I'm gonna look out with the bricks. All right, now I'm gonna wet everything down real good. All right, folks, welcome back. I'm going to be trying to knock out a little bit more of my project I got going. It's going to take a while. When you get to these seams, sometimes it helps it to wiggle it back and forth to work it over there. Get over that seam, and we're golden. All right, I'll leave that there for now. So what we got next is I'm going to top these beds with some black hail, pine bark mulch, vermiculite, perlite, and peat moss. Now, these beds are going to settle a lot the first year or two, and I'm ready for that. So, I mean, I'm going to fill these up to the top, and I might plant a cover crop, but they will definitely fall, I would guess, about 12 inches the first season until everything settles in. I got all the nooks and crannies that aren't filled in, so let's start that. All right, then got some of these magnetic lights I'm trying out. They're from Vego. I don't expect them to do very good in the fall, but we'll see how they do in the summer. If they work out good, I'll probably get another eight pack and do like 3 on each bed. And just a pack of topsoil laying around I want to get rid of. And some pine bark vines. Some black cow. Let's mix that real good, then we'll wet it down. Now this black cow was tested for persistent herbicides. And some peat moss. And we're going to wet that down real good. You got to make sure it's completely wet. I'll show you why. The surface is wet, right? Look. Right underneath it's not. I think they call it hydrophobic when it repels water, so you got to make sure it's wet. They're saying this will expand 2 to 1. I don't know how true it is, but now we're going to mix in some garden lime. Always put garden lime in when you're using peat moss. Okay, let's add some perlite. And some vermiculite. Let's wet that so it don't blow dust all over. Now I'm going to work in a little bit of our original soil. I'm going to take some out of that bed there and just lay it on top. Okay, let's work some of that in. All right, let's get a little 13, 13, 13 on there. Okay, let's wet it down real good. Okay, we're going to install our rods. This is rod A for the 2-foot beds. This is going to be number 3 and number 5 hole. 2 and 2.5 foot wide configurations. Install 4 bracing rods, 2 on either side of the center seam. And then we're going to make sure that the rods are connected in the 3rd and 5th bolt holes. Number 5 hole. Alright, I'm not going to show you every screw I put in and everything I tighten up. So let me get the rest of this stuff put together, and then we'll put the bed in place. Time to fill it. Do not put any logs on these. Good enough. All right, little 13. Some shredded cardboard, mostly pizza boxes. Alright, you want to wet that down real good. Alright, now I'm going to add some, I'm going to throw in my cotton towels and jeans. Then we're going to add some peat moss, vermiculite, perlite, pine bark vines, and some black cow, and keep working in my soil I dug out as I'm doing that. We're going to add a little garden line. Okay, let's get some perlite and vermiculite on there. See, still some of my biochar in there. This is the very bottom of that bed. Okay, let's work in a little garden lime and some 13, 13, 13. Alright, I'm going to add some black cow, 2 bags of black cow. Some of our original soil. Little 10, 10, 10. Some garden line. Hey, let's put our trim on. Okay, what I'm going to do with these is, just like I did my first 2 Vego beds I installed, I don't cut this. I just leave it hang. And then after a season of sun, I'll trim it because it may shrink up a little bit. All right, let's get a cover crop in there. More biochar. And get some pine bark fines on there. All right, let's wet everything down real well. That's from Mom's house. Okay, we're gonna give this a shot. We gotta take this tree out from Mom. Smells good. Remember, don't put any wood on top of your supports. Alright, it's getting dark. I'm going to stop filming a little bit, but I'll show you it. Got some compost in the freezer. Ever saving. There we go. Hugel ham. Ooh, look at that. I wonder if that's still good. Brownie. All right, folks, I'm gonna stop recording. It's getting dark. Cokeweed. Not bad, guys. What do you think of that? Very impressed with that saw. Okay, I got all the trimmings in there. Kept layering it with topsoil. Now we're gonna wet it down real good. Okay, let's get some peat moss on that. Actually, let's get some 10-10-10 on that first, or 13-13-13. I gotta get more garden lime. I'm all out. Make sure I had a cup and a half of this. Add a little more soil. Okay, let's add some black kale. Get some perlite. And some vermiculite. And some more 13-13-13. Okay, let's wet that in real good. Inside. Good enough for now. Okay, here's the cover crops I got going in the beds. And I had a tomato plant that I started later in the season. See if I get a couple late tomatoes. This was the top of a tomato plant that broke off. I just stuck that in the soil and it seems to be growing. Another tomato plant. Some flowers. I just started these a few weeks ago. And then in this bed I have a bunch of bok choy and old lettuce seeds. We'll see how they come up. See if they come up. Okay, these are the lights. They work pretty good. But if you get a cloudy day, they only last a few hours. These are my low voltage lights. They're much brighter.